Kiara, welcome.
Mm.
Earlier today we talked about the divine light and a lot of people who try to find themselves and come to your workshop and hope that they find the answer. In this little interview, I like to ask you about in a brief way, in a short way, how does it work? What are the things you are telling them?
Okay, yeah. Basically, it's a question of discovering yourself. Who am I? And there's many different ways that the question can be answered. And, from the perspective of the rational mind, I'm going to describe myself as a personality with thoughts, feelings, emotions, with a memory that extends from the time I was born up to this moment, a sense of ego, this is who I am, this continuity of presence. I would say this is an aspect of who I am, but it's not who I am. When I talk about who I am, the presence, this is something that's not limited to a way of thinking about it, because it's not about thinking. So we're talking about, when people talk about God or the universe or this divine presence or the self, that in a sense is who we are. It's a universal consciousness, and it's slowly incarnating into form, into the different bodies, into the personality. So it's actually backwards. We think we're here in this body, this is who I am, evolving into something greater. Maybe it's some time in my life I get enlightened, I enter the spiritual consciousness, I experience universal consciousness, and that's the end of the journey. I would say it's the opposite. So who I am is this. Who I am is universal consciousness. And I'm entering into body, incarnating slowly through the different aspects of the self, different reflections of the self, until I can be fully incarnated in physical form while remembering that presence. So it's the opposite, and you could say that enlightenment then becomes a starting point. And it's no big deal. It's like you realize, I am that. It's a presence. It's not an experience, because people often go chasing after an experience of enlightenment, and then, you're comparing one experience with another experience. You're always looking for more, the ultimate experience. But if you leave out the whole realm of experience and just simply dissolve into the presence, which is just that, beyond the thought, beyond the mind, beyond feelings and experiences, there is presence. And everybody knows that. The foundation of all experience is presence. And so you start with that. This is me. This is who I am. And then that presence begins to incarnate. It moves through different bodies, the soul body. The Egyptians call this the Ba, the Shekinah, the higher personality that lives outside of duality. So it's a unified personality that can see things from a whole different perspective. So it doesn't see things in terms of limitations and traumas, or victimization. It sees things simply as a wholeness, interacting with wholeness. And then there's the lower personality that's governed by the rational mind. This is the self that most of us identify with. It's one of the many, not the only self. And then there's also the physical and the energy bodies. And there's actually a cellular mind that's related to this. So when we refer to the subconscious, it's the cellular mind that's connected, that's linked with the collective consciousness of all humanity and the earth. So when all these different aspects of being can flow together and come together, then that is what incarnation is about. So it's not really such a big deal. If you know what the map and the journey is about, and you know that this is not an experience that you're seeking after, it's simply a realization. And then once the realization happens, then it's a practice of deepening that realization into daily life. So then instead of reacting to situations, you're responding with choice. Instead of feeling like someone's doing something to you and you become a victim of that person or of an event, you realize that the universe is simply mirroring something in order to release this old identity of separation. And then, slowly, slowly, you start living the presence. It's not something you're reaching for in your meditations, in certain peak experiences. It's something that becomes who you are. So all of us can get there, or not get there. All of us can experience that here and now.
Thank you very much.